All right. Good evening, everybody. I am Adele Burton, and this is Pittsburgh South. We do this all the time. This is the playoff edition for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have a first-round bye in this year's playoffs, so we are going to try to get this thing started and get you some good information and, get this thing rolling. So let's start with the injury report. There is no official injury report this week because it's a bye week, so we don't have a lot of updated information. From the reports out there that Le'Veon Bell is completely healthy for the first time in a long time going into the playoffs, so that's a terrific thing because he's our bell cow. I mean, he's toted the rock more than anybody this year. Let's see the exact numbers. Le'Veon Bell with 321 carries, over 1,291 yards, 9 touchdowns. He caught over 85 passes out of the backfield, and his reception yardage was over 655 yards receiving. So, as you can see, that's some big-time production. That's second on the team in receptions. So Le'Veon Bell being healthy going into the playoffs is huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Antonio Brown, he's the big one on the injury report. He has an injured calf. He hasn't played in the past 2.5 games. He still ended up leading the league in yards with 1,533. The second closest person to Antonio Brown in the league was at 1,444. They were 90 yards less, and Antonio Brown played 2 fewer games, and that was Julio Jones came in second to Antonio Brown. Just shows you how special that guy is. The other person that I have here on the injury report, we have Cameron Hayward. He's not really injured. We have Marquise Pouncey. He's not really injured. Ben Roethlisberger, he's fine. Ramon Foster had a concussion a couple of games ago, but he's fine as well. So really the Steelers are in good shape. We're healthy going into the playoffs, so it's one of those things where this is a good way to be going into the playoffs, rested and healthy. Let's talk about a few things that are on a lot of the minds of Pittsburgh Steelers fans heading into the playoffs, and that's going to be our defense. We've been giving up a lot of big plays, a lot of splash plays in the passing game. We just got Joe Hayden back. That's going to help that. Cameron Hayward's going to play next game. He didn't play in the final game just to make sure he didn't get hurt. So we're going to have that pass rush up the middle. We finished the season with 56 sacks, the most sacks in franchise history. So we're rushing the quarterback. We're getting after it. It's an absolute travesty that Cameron Hayward did not make the Pro Bowl. He had 12 sacks, and he's a 3-4 defensive end. For people that don't know the difference between a 3-4 defensive end and a 4-3 defensive end, they're very different players. 4-3 defensive ends, they rush the quarterback all day long because they're out wide. Their job is to get into the backfield. A 3-4 defensive end has to make sure that he sets the edge and that in the run game, he doesn't get beat outside. So it's a lot harder for a 3-4 defensive end to get sacks than it is in a 4-3 defense. So just keep that in mind. And he had 12 freaking sacks, and he didn't make the Pro Bowl. Travesty. Let's talk a little bit about what else is going to help us in the playoffs. I mean, Antonio Brown is, uncoverable one-on-one. So you have a safety over the top. You have a linebacker buzzing underneath. You're going to have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's stepped up huge. If you take a look at what this kid's done, 21 years old, just got a driver's license, 6 months ago. Juju Smith-Schuster is second on the team in yards at 917 yards for the season. He averages 15.8 yards per reception. That's huge as a rookie. So if you have Antonio Brown taking up all that attention, you have Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, and you have Juju Smith-Schuster, and then you throw in Vance McDonald, and then you throw in Martavis Bryant on the outside and all the other weapons that we have, such as Jesse James and the like, our offense is probably the best offense in the playoffs. And that includes the Saints with Drew Brees. I mean, I believe that we have the best offense in the league. So that falls on Todd Haley's lap to be able to put a game plan together to utilize all these pieces in a way that we are able to maximize that talent. And that's the task. That's what Haley's tasked to do. I wrote an article about it at pittsburghsouth.net today. You can check it out. It's all about, the weapons we have, and it's about Todd Haley and the job he has to do to step up because, we've expected big things out of this team. We score only 25 points per game. Years ago, our goal was 30 points per game. We have all our weapons now. Like Le'Veon Bell came out saying this week that there's no excuse because everybody's going to be healthy for this playoff game, and that's the truth. No excuse. Let's take a look around the NFL and see what these matchups are going to be for the playoff picture here. Let's get to that. Let's first give a big shout out to Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals for beating the Baltimore Ravens, who needed to win the last game of the season to get into playoffs, and they blew it. And they let Andy Dalton, who I've ripped all the time telling you that he's a terrible quarterback, led them for a game-winning touchdown in a meaningless game to them to knock the Ravens out of the playoffs. And the Buffalo Bills, they haven't been to the playoffs since 1999, finally get to make it to the playoffs. And I'm very happy for Shady McCoy. For you people who don't know, LaShawn McCoy is a Pitt grad at University of Pittsburgh, and he's one of the best running backs in the league. So I'm rooting for the Buffalo Bills in that regard. Now, the Bills have a tall task. They play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars defense is no joke. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They got Jalen Ramsey at corner. They spent a ton of money on A.J. Aboye from Houston at the other corner. And then you have, Calais Campbell up front. You got the, myriad of linebackers they have. Talvin Smith and the like. So they are a formidable defense. But the thing that worries me about Jacksonville, if you're a betting team or you're a person that likes to put money on games, I definitely would not put money on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'll tell you why. That's because Blake Bortles is the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterbacks. One of the and Henry Lewis points out that we did this without James Harrison. He's absolutely right. It's I'm pretty sure the organization, the Pittsburgh Steelers, know what they're doing as well. And the thing about the whole James Harrison situation, let me get off track real quick just to talk about the James Harrison situation. I'm completely with the organization. You have rookie defensive players. You have second-year defensive player in Bud Dupree. You cannot hinder their development hanging your hat on James Harrison being able to be, a force all year long. You got to develop these players. You're putting high premium draft picks, and you only have a short window to figure out whether these guys are going to be your studs for the future and whether you're not going to pay them a lot of money on their contract extension time. So you got to get them on the field. The other part of this coin is that James Harrison cannot play pass coverage. Yeah, he had that interception in the Super Bowl. He dropped into coverage when he wasn't supposed to drop into coverage, picked it off, ran it back for a touchdown, one of the best plays in Super Bowl history. We're talking about one play out of a 17-game season where he did something in pass coverage. One time, and that was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever. So my thing is that James Harrison is a liability. And all Steelers fans keep talking about is, hey, we need to beat the Patriots. We got to beat the Patriots. Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not going to beat the Patriots with James Harrison playing in pass coverage. T.J. Watt was getting burned in pass coverage, and he's a much better, defender against the pass than than James Harrison. So that's my take on James Harrison. Henry, you hit the nail on the head. The organization definitely knows what they're doing. James Quick, man, I hope you feel better. I'm sorry to hear that you rolled your ankle, and I appreciate all the support, man. He does great work on the coding front. If you ever want to look up some good videos, check out James Quick on YouTube. I mean, he does everything from shortcuts, CSS, which is, programs, all that stuff, Python, any of the stuff you need to talk about as far as coding. James Quick's the man to do it. Let's get back to football real quick. The wild card round. The Buffalo Bills, Jacksonville Jaguars, we already went over that. I really don't believe in the Jaguars because of their quarterback. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, I'll be honest with you, are one of the bigger threats to the New England Patriots that are in the playoffs. They just seem to have, the Patriots' number. Andy Reid is a heck of a coach, especially when he has time to game plan for you, and they just give New England fits. So, let's talk about that really quick. You have the Tennessee Titans, they're a Dick LeBeau defense. Dick LeBeau was our offensive coordinator. They run that zone blitz scheme, just like he ran here in Pittsburgh. But one of the things about that zone blitz scheme is if you get the ball out of your hands quickly into the edges, you can march your way down the field. And that's what the Chiefs are really good at, especially Alex Smith. Alex Smith does not like pushing the ball down the field. He will dink and dunk you all day. And that's one of the weaknesses of a Dick LeBeau, 3-4 zone blitz defense. So Akeem Hunt, too, out of the backfield, man. That guy is, a monster to bring down. And he's a little guy, but he is stronger than you think. So I would say, I like the Kansas City Chiefs over the Tennessee Titans on that one. Also, on the NFC side, we have the Saints at Panthers. The Saints are my pick in the NFC to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. You got a quarterback, future Hall of Famer, in Drew Brees. The Panthers are good, but I just like the makeup of the Saints. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball. Their defense is much better than they normally are. Let's look at some of those statistics, if I can pull them up here for you really quick. And we'll look at that, show you some of their defensive numbers, because they're usually at the very bottom of the league in defense. The Saints are usually terrible. You give Drew Brees somewhat of a defense, and he's going to lead you really far in the playoffs. Let's take a look at those defensive numbers. So usually, like I said, they're at the bottom. There's 32 teams in the league. Usually they're 31 or 32, 20, 29. But this year, they're 10th in the league in giving up 20 points per game. That's good for 10th in the league. They give up 336 yards per game total and only 224 yards via the pass. So they're 15th in the league against the pass and 16th against the run. Those are much better numbers than you would expect from a New Orleans Saints team. With that being said, when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, the quarterback makes the difference in the playoffs. Drew Brees versus Cam Newton, I'm taking Drew Brees all day on that one. The Atlanta Falcons versus the LA Rams. I see this as an upset special. I see the Rams taking it to the Atlanta Falcons. And I like Jared Goff. I think he's a better quarterback in the making than Matty Ice. Matty Ice has been in the quarterback a lot longer than Jared Goff. But in my opinion, I believe Goff is the real deal. Not only that, I believe the Rams are a little bit healthier than the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they got Cooper Kupp. He was a third-round pick for the St. Louis Rams, and he's worked his way into being a really good role player for them in the slot, and he just moves the chains. I mean, he's like Emmanuel Sanders used to be for Ben Roethlisberger when he was here. He just moves the chains. Cooper Kupp has over 869 yards receiving at 14 yards per catch and 5 touchdowns. I mean, for a rookie third-round pick, that's a heck of a lot of production. Juju Smith-Schuster was a second-round pick, and their production's awfully similar. Juju's better. He's got better stats as well. But Cooper Kupp is not to be slept on. On the other side of that coin, you have the defense in the Rams. Now, the Rams, when you talk about a defense, they are a scary unit when it comes to the pass rush. Aaron Donald, again, another Pitt guy. Aaron Donald is terrific. Let's see what his numbers are on a year real quick. Aaron Donald. If this was in alphabetical order, it would have been a lot easier. But it's not. So I just got to take a couple seconds and look through. Oh, Michael Brockers is there too. Michael Brockers has 4.5 sacks. Aaron Donald has 11 sacks as a nose tackle. A freaking nose tackle with 11 sacks. And he's got over 41 combined tackles on the year. Let's take a look also in their sack department. Robert Quinn is on that team too. He's got 8.5 sacks. So the Rams, yeah, they're loaded, man. I like them. They're my upset special in the wild card round for sure. Now, out of these teams, we can't play Buffalo, and I don't think we can play Jacksonville. I think the winner of that game goes to New England. We are either going to play Tennessee or Kansas City, I do believe. Who would we rather play? I'd rather play Tennessee, in my opinion. I know Dick LeBeau has it out for us, but I just think that Mariota isn't a franchise quarterback to win you a Super Bowl. I don't think that Dick LeBeau's defense has enough to stop our talent. I'm okay playing Kansas City as well, but we always end up in a 3-point game against Kansas City, and that's scary in the playoffs. So that's my opinion on what's going on around the league. If you have any opinions, feel free to drop them in here for me. Henry likes the Rams going all the way. I like the Saints, like I said. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I like them both, but I like the Saints in the end because Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Let's talk a little bit of NBA. Let's swivel over there really quick. Now, there's some exciting stuff going on in the NBA. It's that time of year where the veterans start playing hard. They stop resting all the time. They're going to start coming down the stretch. Tonight's a really good game on TNT. It's going to be a Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets. Now, James Harden's out. He's got a little bit of an injury. He's a little nicked up. But Chris Paul in the Mike D'Antoni offense, no problem. Forget about it. They're going to play tough. He's going to keep that offense humming. The Golden State Warriors, however, are too deep. Steph Curry's back. He picked up right where he left off. He had a game-winning 3 yesterday. And, they just keep rolling. If you look at the matchups, Golden State, night in and night out, there's just not a team in the league that can match their depth. This team is 30-8 when they just rest everybody, basically. Let's see if Joe Broker's around. I'll invite him one more time. But, let's see. Golden State. Yeah, let me take a look at them. Yeah, they score 115 points per game. Golden State does. And the thing about Golden State that makes them so different and difficult is not only do you have Steph Curry, not only do you have Kevin Durant, but you have Jordan Bell, a second-round pick. You have Draymond Green. You got Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, Patrick McCaw, David West, Nick Young, Klay Thompson. It goes on and on and on, and those are just bad matchups for the rest of the league. Houston Rockets, they're really good too, but they're so James Harden dependent that if he gets nicked up, he gets tired. If anything happens to James Harden, the Rockets are done because they go as James Harden goes. They score 115 points per game. They got Ryan Anderson who stretches the floor. He doesn't play good defense. Doesn't rebound all that well either. Trevor Ariza is a really good defender. He does knock down the 3-ball well. Clint Capella gets you rebounds, block shots, finishes in the lane. Eric Gordon is huge for this team. Coming off the bench, he's finally healthy. 6'4" combo guard, shoots with unlimited range, shoots with ease, can create off the dribble, can get to the cup, finish at the rim. He's fantastic. Eric Gordon is a super underrated player in my book. And then you got some role players like Nene, PJ Tucker, and Briante Weber is a really good on-ball defender, which you're going to need against Golden State Warriors. But Chris Paul is the big addition, and he is going to be running the show without James Harden there. The Cleveland Cavaliers are really interesting to me because Isaiah Thomas is finally coming back. And now with Isaiah Thomas back, how's that going to affect the Cavs rotation? I didn't like the Cavs roster because, their roster's all, a lot of older veteran guys that I'm not really a fan of. Like, if you take a look at Channing Frye, he's a good three-point shooter, doesn't play defense, doesn't rebound. Jeff Green, he's a good defender. He's good at handling for his size. He's an okay shooter. He's a decent finisher. Nothing to write home about. Iman Shumpert is a good combo guard as far as defense. Derrick Rose is always injured. Can't count on him. Kyle Korver can shoot threes, can't defend, and can't rebound. Kevin Love, he's a stud. J.R. Smith can shoot it, but he's wildly inconsistent. Really doesn't play that good defense, and really doesn't rebound. Tristan Thompson rebounds, but really doesn't do anything else. Dwayne Wade is past his prime. He'll get you some buckets whenever he's hot, but that's about it. So the makeup of this team, I'm not really a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers, the makeup of their roster. But anytime you have LeBron James, you have a chance. Adding Isaiah Thomas back, he had 17 points in 16 minutes last game. Phenomenal for missing over half the year. Excuse me, I gotta take a drink of water because my throat was done. All right, and they picked up my boy London Prentice. I like that. He must be on a 2-way contract. He's a good defender. He can shoot, tough. I like London Prentice. Not a superstar or anything like that, but I think he'll grow into a good role in the next couple of years. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. Kyrie Irving is the man. When it comes to last-second shot, you do not want Kyrie Irving with the ball in his hand. I really think Boston's going to be a problem for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I like the makeup of their squad. Their young guy, Jason Tatum, he's in the running for Rookie of the Year. Currently, Ben Simmons is my choice for the Rookie of the Year so far. But Tatum is not far behind. He's a really good player. Let's see here. They have Terry Rozier. He's a good backup point guard. Marcus Smart, tough as they come. Pitbull on defense. And that's really about it for those two teams in the East. I mean, my Miami Heat are really unique, right? They got a lot of big guys that can guard multiple positions. They all can rebound. They can all finish at the hoop, and they can all somewhat contribute at defense on the wing. So, I mean, I don't see my Miami Heat winning, the Eastern Conference, but we got a chance, like everybody in the East. Big shout out to the Indiana Pacers. They're hanging tough in that 7 to 8 spot, and that's largely in part due to Victor Oladipo and Miles Turner. Oladipo, this guy, for the season, is shooting 42% from the three-point line. He was a 35% three-point shooter just a year ago. He's scoring over 24.5 points per game, which is good for 10th in the NBA, more than Kyrie Irving. 5 rebounds and 3 assists and a block per game. This guy has been phenomenal. If you haven't seen Victor Oladipo play, check him out. In the West, again, the Spurs are getting healthy. Kawhi Leonard's back. Marcus Aldridge is finally playing well. I don't trust Marcus Aldridge, so I really can't see them beating, Golden State either. I know a lot of people are going to say, they had their number in the first game of the playoffs. It was one game, people. Chill out with all that. But that's my take on it. I mean, it's been a good ride, man. It's been fun. We're going to see these playoff games coming out. I'll be tweeting out, some interactive stuff. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to lead the league in this, lead the league in that? I'm going to probably do it for this basketball game tonight too, but it's always a good time talking sports. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat, in the message column. I'll answer those questions. I'll talk about it as well. Shout out to Bobby Joe Allen and King Dean that just checked in at the end of the show. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to get off here because we're done. No Joe Broker either, so he must have been out and about. So, all right, y'all. That's it for today. Peace until next time. And like I said on Twitter, if you get at me at Steelers Adele on Twitter, I do like interactive poll questions and stuff like that for people watching. So we have some fun with that. All right, Saturday and Sunday, NFL playoffs. See you there. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.